Thank you, everyone. Good evening, and I want to say thank you to the Manning Business School for having me here, and especially Lisa Armstrong for inviting me to my alma mater. It's very heartwarming to be here and be able to speak with all of you this evening. I would hope that as I go through this, I connect with some of you, and if not all of you, with my story. And I hope that if there's anything that you can take away, is that we all do have these obstacles in life. But before I get started, I just want to show you a quick video.
First on 5, the woman who stood this close to the accused marathon bomber and somehow survived the deadly blast. Roseanne Zadoya is recovering from devastating injuries, but she is determined to fight back. Our Kathy Curran has an interview you'll see only on 5.
And that bomb went off. I did look down, and there was a pool of blood. It was quickly filling. I was like, if this is coming for me, I'm going to die.
Roseanne Zadoya closed her eyes and focused on breathing to stay alive while she was on the ground in the aftermath of the explosion of the second bomb on Boylston Street.
To let them know that I was alive, I'd open my eyes and say, I'm here, and then close them again, because I just did not want to see any more of the tragedy that had happened.
You can see Roseanne just over the right shoulder of the runner in this picture, where she was waiting for friends to cross the finish line. Bombing suspect Johar Tsarnaev is behind her, the bomb right under her feet. Her leg had to be amputated above the knee. She has burns on her arm and staples in her stomach.
I honestly haven't thought of what they did to me, and I don't really have any hatred, at least not at this point.
Right now, Roseanne's focus is on healing. A visit from a Boston firefighter who helped save her life brings some joy, and support from friends, family, and a city that is still strong is the best medicine she could ask for.
It's actually a force behind me, knowing that I have so much of this love that I can't quit.
Roseanne has never been a quitter. I've known her for many years. Her spirit is infectious, and even in the midst of coping with this horrific tragedy, her strength is inspiring.
When, I found out, I broke down. But then in the back of my head, I was like, this is Roseanne, and we know what you're made of.
I can do it. I can do it. I'm Boston strong.
For WCVB News Center 5, I'm Kathy Curran.
Inspiration, Roseanne.
Thank you. At the end of that video, you hear me say that I'm Boston strong. And that's because the story, to me, is really about a Boston girl. But it actually starts in my hometown in Drake. Now, a lot of people don't know where Drake is, but since I'm talking to people who are in Lowell, I would hope you know where it is. But for those that don't, it's in the northeast corner, right on the New Hampshire border. And when we actually started off in Lowell, and when I was in the second grade, my parents had told me that we were moving to Drake. And in my mind, I'm like, where is this foreign town? I thought we were actually moving to the west coast to California. Unfortunately, it was one town over. This is the house that I grew up in. My mom actually still lives there. And this is where I've learned my life lessons and my life values. But it was pretty rural. There was a pig farm right down the street, and they also had cows. And quite often, when we were in Lowell, we would actually walk to school. But when we moved to Drake, we ended up taking the bus. And quite often in taking the bus, when we were being dropped off, there might be a cow or a pig to greet us instead of our parents. My mom would kind of yell sometimes, hurry up, get in the house, because she thought they'd be able to open the door and get in. But with it being so rural, we would take trips into the North End, the Italian section of Boston, and would also go into Faneuil Hall for the festive atmosphere. But it was probably in my teenage years that I had decided at some point in life I was going to move into the Back Bay of Boston and live in one of those brownstones on a nice tree-lined street. But I knew in order to do this, I would have to go to school, get an education, get a diploma, and get a good job so I could afford it. And this is one of the reasons why I'm here speaking with you today. Because my parents, in a sense, knew that I was a highly sociable person. And after searching for many different schools, we decided that I would attend the University of Lowell. And, you know, I look back at it now, and I really think that ultimately they really wanted to keep me close to home. They wanted to make sure that the girl that they saw growing up, the highly sociable girl, that they could keep tabs making sure she was going to class and not just hanging out with her friends. But I have to say that the education that I received here at the university truly helped me propel in life. It's one of the reasons why I feel as though that I was able to accomplish the dreams that I had, similar to probably what you have and your goals that you have now here at the university. I went to the business school, I graduated, I lived in a couple of different states after college, I bought myself a 2-family home, I bought a nice car. I've been able to do what I want to do in life. And one of those things that I was able to do was to move into the city of Boston. But even before moving into the city, I would always make my way into some of the sporting events. In the summertime, for me, it meant going to the Red Sox games. Although not in Boston specifically, but I think if you're a Boston fan, you're a Boston fan of all the sports. So I would make my way into preseason games, or even during regular season football games in the fall. And in the winter, I would attend Celtics games and Bruins games. And I have to say, I've always been pretty fortunate with my seats. They've been in good locations, and usually you get to really feel what's going on in the sporting arena that you're at. But with the end of winter, I would truly look forward to the beginning of spring. And what that meant to me was Marathon Monday, or as we call it, Patriots Day. Most of you probably know that it's the third Monday in April, all the time. It's always every third Monday. And it marks the anniversary of the beginning of the American Revolutionary War. It was initiated just outside of Boston, and it was also made famous by Paul Revere's Midnight Ride. Now, I'm sure most of you know that Boston and the adjoining cities generally close the local and state offices. And it's really a holiday for the city. And for me, there was always an energy with 25,000 runners and probably another 1 million spectators that would line the course from Hopkinton to Boston for those 26.2 miles. And I have to say, as long as I can remember, my sister and I would go in with our father to watch the Red Sox, and then we would make our way into Kenmore Square at the end of the game so we could see the runners coming in. We actually had a crazy neighbor who would run the marathon every year. And I call her crazy because she would train for the marathon in all sorts of weather. And one of my memories of her running would be that she would run to the local corn stand, which was probably like 5 or 6 miles away, buy a dozen ear of corn, and then run back. So we would go in there to cheer her on. But I have to say that not only being a sports fan, I also did some sports myself in regards with running. And I have to say that for me, running has always been a love-hate relationship. It's something that I had to talk myself into, but after I did it, I had a good time, or I felt good about myself afterwards. I would generally do 5Ks and sometimes 10Ks, and honestly, I really would do it more to stay healthy and stay in shape. I enjoy life. I enjoy food. I enjoy drinks. And the picture up here is with a group of friends that we would sign up for every year in the summertime. It's a series called Let's Run and Have Some Fun. Now, I've mentioned, you may have forgotten, that I was a very highly sociable person. That carried on from my teenage years right up until about now. And so we would sign up for this road race that they would have every month, and it combined friendship, barbecue, a band, beer, and then of course you had to run to get to the end. So to me, it was something that I would do because it was a social atmosphere as well. Now, again with the marathon, the amount of people that are in the city is just, the energy is just amazing. So I would go in, And every year I would try to convince a friend of mine that maybe the following year we should run the marathon. But I knew that I would have to probably start training now for next year. At this point, I was able, though, to convince 3 of my good friends to at least do the Boston Athletic Association 5K. It's the annual event that precedes the marathon. This way, I knew that I could at least cross over that official marathon finish line by doing this, and maybe focus on the marathon in 2014. After we completed the race, we had a great day. We went for brunch celebrating the finishing of it because 2 of my friends had never run a 5K before. And then we went shopping as we were going away the following weekend to celebrate a friend's birthday. So we had a great day. In the end of it, we all went our separate ways, knowing that we'd meet up again tomorrow. So on the morning of April 15, 2013, I woke up even more excited than I was the day before because I knew the fun was going to continue. I tried on one outfit after the other, getting ready for this fun day. Now I have to tell you, even though I didn't run the marathon, I would run my own marathon that day. So I needed to make sure that I was comfortable for a full day of hopping around Boston. And the tradition for me had remained the same in regards to going to the Red Sox and then going to watch the marathon. The only thing that changed is I didn't go with family any longer, I went with friends. And we would go to the Red Sox game and make our way over to a restaurant called Forum on Boylston Street. This is a great location so that when you had friends running, they would know where to look for you as they were making their way down Boylston Street. Hopefully they weren't too delirious from running so many miles prior. But you could at least call out their name. They would see you under the Forum sign and come over, and hopefully you'd be able to snap a selfie or 2. So that morning, as usual, I went with my friend Sabrina to the Red Sox game, and it was a beautiful spring morning. This picture actually does not do it justice. The sky was really blue, and it was a little chilly, but it was gorgeous. And we had phenomenal seats. Two themes that you see through here, sociable and good seats. But while we were at the game, we ended up getting a text message several innings into it that our friends were starting to approach the city. And so we decided that we knew it would take a bit to get over to Boylston Street from where we were. So when we got that automated alert, we decided to start our trek over. And as we did that, we wanted to make sure that we didn't miss our friend, one of my friends, John, who I'd grown up with since the 2nd grade. He was running. And then my friend Jennifer, who runs for the oncology department at Mass General Hospital, and she's also a nurse there. She's run 5 marathons. We wanted to make sure that after they had run so far, that we were in our location to cheer them on. So we made the trek over. It took about an hour. We finally got to Forum. We went inside, did a walkthrough, because we knew we'd have other friends that would be there. At this point, they hadn't arrived yet, so we ended up getting a drink. Within a few minutes, we got another alert on our cell phones that Jen, not John, John's a little bit of a slower runner. He has a condo on Beacon Street, Beacon Street in Brookline. And I love telling the story because what he loves to do is, as he's running, he loves to go into his condo, have a hot dog and a beer, and then continue his run. So needless to say, he wasn't near Jennifer yet, but she was approaching Kenmore Square. So we decided that we were going to make our way out to the barricade that separates the spectators from the runners. And as we did that, we initially started out on, I guess, your right of the mailbox. You can actually see my friends Sabrina and Megan right here. And we had all started out on this side of the mailbox. But being vertically challenged, as I call myself, not short, vertically challenged, I decided to move to the opposite side of the mailbox, where you see me in this photo now. And basically, I was there because, I guess maybe being nosy or wanting to be the first to see Jen come down Boylston Street, I decided that I would stay there. But as we'd gone out there, 3 of our other friends had shown up, so Megan and Sabrina and then 2 others, and I'd separated myself from them. At one point, Megan walked over and asked the gentleman standing next to me if she could sneak in so we could watch our friend come down Boylston Street together. Politely, he replied, "No, I'm sorry, I'm waiting for my wife." So she moved back to the opposite side of that mailbox. Now, at this point, Little did I know how important that mailbox would be to my friends and their lives. Little did I know that for the first time in history, the Boston Marathon would be shut down. Little did I realize how familiar I would become with this person in the white hat. And then finally, little did I realize how profoundly my world was about to change. Now, as we were out there, within seconds of Megan moving back to the opposite side, there was the explosion down to our left. Everybody stopped. You could hear a pin drop and looked. And if you'd been to the marathon before, we all had the same thoughts running through our brains. The elite runners had come in earlier. They've never had celebratory cannons before. Why would they have celebratory cannons now? Maybe it was a manhole cover. And then the gentleman to my right yelled, "Get in the street." Again, doing that quick assessment of my vertically challenged situation, I knew that if I jumped over that barricade, if I was able to get over it, I'd probably skin my palms, break a wrist or an ankle or something like that. So I decided at that moment, within a few seconds, and it's amazing how much goes through your brain in a matter of seconds. It was 10 seconds to be exact, of all this stuff going through. I decided to turn to my right and to run. And as I did that, I saw 2 flashes of white light at my feet, and then everything went blank. Seconds later, I come to, and this is part of the reason why I'm here speaking with you today. Because in those moments, in that situation, there were choices that I needed to make. And for me, I knew that taking on the feeling of the chaos that was surrounding me would not do me any good. I knew that I would need to take control of my situation. And one of the life lessons that I learned back in Drake was not to panic in case of an emergency, to remain calm. So again, it's amazing what your brain thinks of at these moments, but that's what was going through my head. I could take on the chaos and freak out, or I could remain calm and hopefully get myself to safety. I also have to say that another life lesson is that it's really not important what happens to us, but the important part is how we react to what has happened to us and those choices that we make. Now, one of the other things is I decided to keep my emotion at bay. Because the third lesson I learned at that house in Drake from my mom, and she'd kill me if she knew I was saying this, but she always said, crying makes you ugly. So after the situation I was in, I figured I probably didn't need to look any worse than I already did. So I kept my emotions at bay. And within a few seconds, the smoke clears. And as I say, I saw this angel come through telling me that I needed to get up and get out of there. Now, many people, many strangers, stepped up to help the victims that day. And for me, I have to say that I have 3 personal heroes that I feel as though that truly saved my life. You have Shores, the college student, who at the time was probably similar to your age. He was 20 years old, a student at Northeastern, and he heard the explosion. He made the choice from the opposite side of the street to run in and help. You have Shana Catone, the Boston police officer, who, as she came upon Shores holding a tourniquet on my leg, can you imagine a college student, yourselves, holding a tourniquet on a leg? In him doing that, Shana stepped up and she really kind of helped him through it. She also kept me calm, and she took information to make sure that my family could get reached and let them know what had happened. And then you have Mike Materia, Boston firefighter, who, after assisting a couple of other people, came over to where some of his firefighter brothers were, and they had loaded me on a backboard, and he made the choice to get involved and help me and hopefully load me in. He made the choice to help take me to the hospital, not in one of these, but in one of these. And I told my parents after the fact that I swear it was my first time for a ride in a paddy wagon. Right, Dad? But this was my escort in, along with Mike Materia. Now, the 3 of them, 3 different backgrounds, 3 different educations, all really came together and worked as a team. And it's very important that in certain situations that you have and work with the team. And in this case, they were able to get me into some form of transportation. Now, I would have preferred the ambulance because I know they had morphine there. The paddy wagon did not have morphine, I can tell you that, as much as I asked for it. Now, 3 days and 3 amputations later, I have this picture in here. It's me and my sister, who's here. Hi, Gia. And it's the 2 of us. Now, I don't have it in there because I think I look good. As a matter of fact, my good friend Johnny Abbott from 2nd grade, who is the slow runner, told me I looked really bad. I won't use the word he used. But I have this in here because I'm smiling. And right from the beginning, you can see that I had a positive attitude. And to me, really, having a positive attitude is really what helps get you through your issues and your obstacles. Taking on negativity really can put you at a standstill. And it, I think, creates more obstacles that you have to then get over, aside from what you're already dealing with. So this picture is in here because I'm smiling. Even after I told I looked like a combination of Phyllis Diller and, oh gosh, I forget the gentleman's name, but my hair was singed like this. And I'd asked if I looked good and if I should put a hat on, and they said yes. So that tells you anything. But I really think that the positivity that I had right from the beginning really is important to keep in mind. Because quite honestly, I think it is what helps you get through, and it really defines whether you succeed or fail. And I think that positive attitude really helps propel you forward, as it did with me. Now, I have to say, getting through all of this and keeping a positive attitude did help from the support that I had. And I had a lot of different visitors, like him or hate him, President Obama. And I have to tell you, the only real thing I remember about that is that he had really good skin. He had the best complexion. That's because I finally got that morphine, so. And then Rob Gronkowski, one of my favorites. And then Kevin Spacey, who was my ultimate favorite and still is, and still kind of keep in touch with him here and there. God bless him, he walked into a room of me and about 8 of my girlfriends who had just gotten back from the trip I was supposed to go on, and he didn't shy away from it at all. He basically came in and connected with all of us, which was truly amazing. And he made the decision and made the choice that morning to fly into Boston. He had heard what happened, woke up that morning, flew in from Baltimore, and visited a bunch of us survivors. And I have to say that it was really inspiring. And I have to say that it supported me and kept that positive attitude, knowing that there were people out there that cared to keep pushing us forward. I also had some high school friends, 2 of which I attended the University of Massachusetts with here as well. One is a sorority sister. And then my other sorority sisters and college classmates that really stepped up as well. Once I went home from the hospital, they set up a group so that someone stayed with me every night for a month so I was not home alone for fear that I might fall out of bed thinking I had that other leg. Successful. They were successful, by the way. But my ultimate support came from true heroes, wounded warriors that have gone overseas to help keep us free. And they immediately stepped up. They came in right from the beginning, and they wanted to show that even in situations that they have endured, they've endured what we endured, that we would get back to normal. Whatever that normal is, we would eventually get there. And I think, in a sense, not only did it help me, I know, actually, that it truly helped my family as well, knowing that I was going to be okay. And they have been amazing, really, to help support all of us through all of this and continue to do so now. Now, I also had my goals. And I think that's another important thing, is that you should always have goals in life. For me, it was becoming a successful business person. And as you heard the dean read, I became vice president of the company I worked for. And I had these goals because I wanted to get back to the city. I wanted to get back to that apartment that I had moved into in the North End. It wasn't the Back Bay, but the North End I feel is even better. I had 18 stairs to my apartment, and if any of you know, there's really not a lot of elevators in any of those old buildings. So when I went home, I was on crutches, and I would have to go up those 18 stairs if I decided to leave for whatever reason. So I knew that I needed to work on my physical therapy and really take it serious so that I could get back to my new normal. So I had friends and therapists help me, because I knew going back to the North End, I would have to deal with tourists, uneven sidewalks, festivals. When I parked my car, I would only be able to park, I used to park 7 minutes away and walk to my apartment. Now, I knew that I would not be able to do that any longer. And then, of course, having to endure the winter here is awful. So I had to work really hard at becoming stronger so that I could get my first prosthetic. And my other goal was getting back to what I told you about, that I semi-enjoyed running. And I had to practice real hard with that as well. It's taken many hours, but in the last 2 years, I've been able to accomplish running my first 5K, and then this past year, I ran the last half mile of the marathon with one of my supporters who volunteers for the Challenged Athletes Foundation. But learning that new normal still continues today. Before April 15, 2013, I'd wake up, go to the gym at 7 o'clock in the morning, I'd work out, I'd go to work and work anywhere from an 8 to 10 hour day. I'd go home to the North End, I'd walk up to meet friends for dinner or run some errands, and in the North End everything is pretty much walking. My new normal now is waking up in the morning and deciding what exercises am I going to do, when am I going to put my leg on, what clothes am I going to wear. Everything fits completely different with my leg. I also learned to take care of your knees, because that knee joint is really important in life. So I now have to think of all these different things before I get up and start my day. But the biggest and most important decision that I make every day is which leg am I going to wear? This leg is the one I have on right now. It's my everyday leg. I call her Jeannie. They all have names. And they're all female, by the way. Sorry, guys. The second leg, which some people will be shocked to see tonight that know me, this is my new dress-up leg. I just got it. We're dealing with it. This is my bike leg, and then this is my running leg. And I thought putting the cheetah print on what's called a socket would help me run faster, but it does not, just in case everybody knows. And then my trusty crutches, which go with me everywhere, because I don't sleep with my leg on, so in the middle of the night, when I have to go to the bathroom, how do you get there? By those things. So they're with me everywhere I go. Now, can you imagine when I go on vacation, and if I decide that I want to bike and run and dress up, my luggage is pretty heavy. Thank God I have somebody to carry it for me. And what I have to say is, with all of that, carrying my luggage and going through the exercises and really getting back to running, I would not be able to do it unless I had the support from people that decided to help right from the get-go. And these are friendships that I would never have found anywhere else. And quite honestly, I probably would never have made friends with them, because I probably would have never bumped into them. But I have to say that they're extremely special to me and have really supported me through this whole situation. And I'm still friends with them to this day. And I've also made new friends as well out of the survivors and some of the people that had supported us through the Semper Fi in America's Fund and other organizations such as the Challenged Athletes Foundation. Quite honestly, it's so important to rely on others and to know that it's okay to ask for help and to find out if something is bothering somebody else in a similar situation. I can't tell you how often we amputees out of the situation connect and talk about different situations with the socket not fitting right, or someone might have gotten a new foot, or someone might be having trouble keeping their nail polish on their toes. These are all things that you have to think about now. So it's really important to be able to rely on others. And you guys should do the same, whether it's other classmates or advisors within the school. They're there to help, and it's okay to ask for help. And that's one thing. Some might call it stubborn, some might say I'm a control freak. But I had a very difficult time in the beginning asking for that help, or allowing it to happen naturally. And I have to say, it's one of the things that I've learned through this whole situation, is to rely on those people that are near and dear to you. Or if you don't have someone, find that person. The help is out there, and it's great to rely upon it. Because of the support that I've received, I find it important to share my message with everybody. I find it important to speak to audiences and groups such as yourselves, because I do feel as though that sometime in life, whether it be now or way in the future, you may come upon a situation that you need to make a decision, make a choice. And I think you need to understand that you will find the strength to move on, and you will find the strength to be unstoppable, just as I did. I also like to spread the message of hope, overcoming obstacles, and really to move on each and every day, to get up and keep going. John F. Kennedy once said, "The one unchangeable certainty is nothing is unchangeable or certain." So as you make your way in life tomorrow, keep in mind that the choices you make today can have a huge impact on your tomorrow. That you should really focus on the things you can control, not the things you cannot. And to keep in mind that you will have decisions that you'll need to make, and you'll be able to make them, even in those moments of despair. And remember that life, it's not a sprint, but it is indeed a marathon. Thank you. Thank you.